Hello, my name is Maria Helena Carey, and I write a blog called The Hill is Home. And today I have partnered up with Julie Aronson. Julie, will you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Julie Aronson. I'm the Executive Director of CHAMPS, the Capitol Hill Chamber of Commerce, representing about 130 businesses here on Capitol Hill.
Wonderful. And today we are talking to Eric Rogers. And Eric, will you please introduce yourself?
My name is Eric Rogers, and I am a candidate for the at-large seat on the DC City Council.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to us. And so we have 6 questions. I will ask you 3. Julie will ask you 3. And this will be available via YouTube, and we will also put it up on the blog, and it will go on the CHAMPS newsletter, and it will also be available via Instagram.
Okay.
Without further ado, in such a crowded field of candidates, how do you plan on standing out? And do you think that the fact that there are 25 currently at-large candidates, does that give better known names an unfair advantage?
I wouldn't say that it gives no names, if you will, an unfair advantage. And I think that having 25 folks in the race is actually a good thing. I've been in DC politics, DC government, I've worked for DC government for almost 2 decades, since 1998. And I've never seen such a diversity in the field of candidates running for any office. So for me, someone who loves democracy, I think it's a great thing that you have so many choices. The voters have so many choices in different perspectives on how to govern the city, where to take the city in the future. So I think that, overall, having that many candidates is not a downside. For me, I'm doing a lot of, these types of conversations, Zoom conferencing, as well as some more creative marketing approaches using social media, advertising, to try to get my message out. But I think that some of the tried and true ways of campaigning can still work. You could still do some field work, door knockers, leaving literature at folks' houses and stuff. So if you have an effective campaign, the pandemic and the number of folks in the race shouldn't truly impact getting at least your message out. In-person conversations obviously are a little bit more difficult, so we need to be careful there. But there are different approaches that I've employed that I know some of my competitors have used to maintain and get their message out.
Okay, thank you. So speaking about that, I guess it's so weird campaigning when you can't really go door to door and you can't do the traditional things. But each ward council office holds constituent services inside their geographic area, but the at-large seat is different. How do you see the at-large as more than just a backup for citizens who are having a hard time getting results from their ward council member? And how would you raise the profile of the at-large office to help all Washingtonians?
Well, for me, I started my career as a constituent services representative for Councilmember Sharon Ambrose, the former ward. So I know what it's like to deal with constituent concerns and try to connect government and the issues of government operations to what constituents need and want. So it's an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. So in direct response to your question, one of the things that I've actually thought about doing is having a commitment to hit every single neighborhood meeting within 2 years, just so that residents see that they do have another voice, and also to hear those voices and to the extent possible mediate any neighborhood issues. I remember, working an issue for at the time I was working in Sharon's office, but after redistricting in 2000, it became more of a Ward 7 issue because at the time in the 90s, Ward 6 east of the river. So historic Anacostia, Fairlawn, those neighborhoods, Randall Highlands, were all a part of Ward 6. And the residents in that part of the city had serious issues with certain social service organizations occupying commercial properties in the historic district of Anacostia. thereby taking away a lot of opportunity for retail development in those neighborhoods. So I took that fight when I left Sharon Ambros's office, and went to Chavis, the Ward 7 member. So I say all of that to say that long story to say, I think an at-large council member that has an understanding, and again, this touches on why I'm going to go to every single neighborhood association meeting, to understand.
Sorry, this just means that you want to go to every like ANC meeting, like all of the.
ANC meeting, also to neighborhood associations, like, the Hillcrest Neighborhood Civic
Friends
Association.
of Kingman Park type. Okay, great. Mhm.
So in doing that, you gain perspective of the neighborhood concerns. So in going to these meetings and understanding what those issues are, you have a better conversation with the ward member and helping them to maneuver through whatever the particular policy goal is, whether it's parking, whether it's trash collection, whether it's something more serious as a new methadone clinic or some social service organization moving into a property that's raised community angst and the like, as opposed to jumping on it for propaganda reasons. I'll be able to jump on it or jump into the issue based on knowledge and conversations with the community. So I hope that answers how I would kind of elevate the office and make sure neighborhood issues are front and center.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your thoughtful answers. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Julie.
Eric, thank you for being with us today.
Sure.
Common concern of Champs members, and one that I know you have heard, is that it's hard to do business in DC. Licensing is hard, bureaucracy is slow, and the agency databases don't talk to each other. Many small business owners spend hours navigating the DC bureaucracy, and some say they could never have started a business without a partner who had a full-time regular job. This hurts this prospective small business owner who may not be well-resourced. So how would you use your position on the council to make small business ownership easier and more accessible?
Well, you're right. I have extensive experience in this area. At DCRA, I ran the Business and Professional Licensing Administration. So I'm the guy that issued business licenses and corporate registration for all non-health businesses in the District of Columbia. And one of the things that I was able to do before I left DCRA is I created the website mybusiness.dc.gov. It's an award-winning website recognized by the Obama administration and the Small Business Administration in an effort to help businesses start up in a day. That was the actual name of the initiative, the Startup in a Day initiative. So one of the ideas of the concepts behind the website is gets to the crux of the question, that integration of services where the tax office, my old offices, the business licensing office, the corporate division are all integrated, and you have a seamless flow of information from one entity to another, so that the business didn't have to go running all over the city trying to get whatever documents we may need for licensure. So what I would do as a council member is expand that effort. It's an enterprise system, so it takes several millions of dollars to truly integrate. But that would be one of the first things that I would do, is to work on that effort and to finalize that website, but really that enterprise system, to make at least the front-facing regulatory processes easier for businesses. Second thing I would do, as you mentioned, that a lot of folks feel that they need assistance, a friend or somebody to help them maneuver through the regulatory process. I would expand some of the resources at DCRA Small Business Resource Center, whose sole purpose is to provide that type of service, so that businesses don't have to phone a friend, if you will, and can call a knowledgeable government official who can walk them through concierge service, if you will, walk them through every single step that they need to go through to obtain whatever licensure or corporate status that they need to get their business going. And then third, what I would do, which is more of a broad idea, is a marketing campaign. The city doesn't do a good job, and it's one of the reasons why I got in explaining to people exactly what they need to do. Sometimes you do get conflicting information, and the website will help to mitigate some of that. But a messaging campaign that helps prospective entrepreneurs understand that they need to get a license. When I was running BPLA, I'd always say, you really only need three things to get the certificate. You need your social security card and you need your driver's license. And your birth certificate is your corporate registration. Your driver's license is your business license, and your social security card is your tax registration. Those are the purposes, all those documents that we require for licensure. Pay the tax man, make sure that you're qualified to run the business, and then make sure that you have a legitimate corporate.
Can I have you guys know?
While businesses are reopening in phase two, say for many of our storefront retailers and restaurants have dropped 40, 50, 60% compared to where they were last year. Fixed costs are still due, rent and taxes, and paycheck protection funds have run out, and microgrants funds are long gone. Business may be forced to close. You are on the council right now. What proposals would you put forward to help our small businesses continue to operate and employ people?
Well, it depends on the type of business. So I have several solutions to help small businesses maneuver through this pandemic. Small business owner and you're a property owner, some property tax forgiveness, or at least the ability to delay payment of your property taxes, for a certain period of time, and or a payment schedule for outstanding property taxes, probably over 5 years. Folks won't be able to pay it all back in a couple of years or so. So give them that time to rebuild for that aspect. If you're a tenant in a property that you don't own, I do think the city needs to replicate in some form or fashion its own what I call the paycheck protection program, but it would be a city version where we would grant additional funds to businesses, grant and loan additional funds to businesses to help cover some of those expenses, those hardcore expenses, those costs from rent payments to some of the staff salaries and the like. And then the third thing for those small-based businesses that don't necessarily that rely more on foot traffic and folks coming in and out, I really would like to entertain, a better use of our public space. I love the idea of the streeteries. I want to find a way to make them semi-permanent, and I want to find a way that we can end them into some retail beyond just food service operators. Allow purveyors of merchandise to maybe access public space, some form of, maybe not necessarily in front of their location, but it can definitely, the city has, we have rec centers with a lot of space. We have libraries with a lot of space where, we can have a bazaar, if you will, every couple of 3 days, retailers can come in and sell their wares, while the pandemic is going on. So those are some of the ideas that I have to help small businesses survive through the pandemic. But there's no one answer. It really depends on the industry, the specific needs of that industry. Like our hospitality industry, they're not going to recover until we truly get more foot traffic in the city. And I don't see that happening until at least next summer, where we can get back the levels of commerce that folks can start to feel better about their economic position. So with that in mind, that's where a lot of these ideas kind of play into to help bridge that gap until we get our economy back going strong.
Great, thank you. My last question is regarding parking on Capitol Hill and in many neighborhoods in DC, residential versus commercial parking, and how to balance that parking between the residents, the customers, the employees, and the business owners. Where parking is in high demand, employees and DC service providers often just have to absorb the tickets as a part of doing business. How do you approach this problem? Kind of what the thought process behind it?
So parking is tight. Having worked in the Ward 6 office, I understand the parking issues very, very well. But I do think, and it gets partly to the answer I had earlier, about effective public space management. I do think as part of our residential parking program, we do need to reduce the number of RPP stickers we give per household. I do think we move to one RPP sticker per household, and that should help to free up some space in the neighborhoods. I do think that on certain designated blocks, so I'm thinking of Barracks Row specifically, I would expand the commercial loading zone areas for businesses along Barracks Row. I think there's never enough parking in the city, for the demand or for the amount of driving that happens. So if we accept that fact and accept the fact that we're trying to maximize the use of public space for the benefit of the businesses and the benefit of the visitors and the benefit of the residents, I think if you're looking southward on 8th Street, I would expand a lot of the loading zone and the commercial space on the right side if you're facing south, to give businesses that ability to have those deliveries, to have that commerce exchange, to keep the business going. At the same time, I think working with the businesses, we can make an accommodation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full day's worth for the loading zone. It could be from 7 to noon, 7 to 2, something like that. And as we see through data, more of the commerce is happening as more folks are starting to show up, come home from or come out to dinner, come home and then go out to dinner, convert some of those expanded commercial spaces into regular parking spaces for customers. So you try to match your public space management and the use of public space for the demand that's happening. It's not gonna be perfect. Not everyone's gonna be satisfied, but I think using the data of usage, we can amend and adjust how we use the public space in and around our commercial corridors to maximize the benefit. But I fully understand that there's no one solution that's going to appease either the businesses, the residents, or everyone in between.
Great, thank you.
Sure. I think we lost one.
Oh,
I was muted. Sorry. My last question is very simple. What would you name the regional football team? And do you support a return to RFK Stadium?
I do support the return to RFK Stadium. I do not support public financing of the stadium, but I do think as a vibrant city, as a capital city, that large entertainment venues are a part of city life, a part of civic life. So I'm not opposed to, as part of a master development for that site, a stadium being a part of it. I don't support a whole ton of parking. We got Stadium Armory Metro right there. And you can easily use circulators and Metro bus redirection to get people to and from the site. So we don't need a ton of parking on the site. We need to rethink, urban stadiums to use the existing infrastructure. With that said, what name would I use? I like the Washington Rodgers, name him after me, but
There you go. Enough said, right?
Yeah. That's not going to happen. But to be honest with you, I really haven't thought of a name. I think the name. I haven't thought of a specific name. I think the name should reflect the diversity of the city. I think it should reflect the fact that we are the nation's capital, and we do hold a unique place in this great country. And the name should have that same type of verb, if you will, cliche, to let you know that, oh yeah, this team represents the nation's capital of the free world.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to talk to both of us.
Thank you.
If people want to know more about your campaign or know more about how they can get in touch with you, where can they go?
Yeah, so my website is rogersfordc.com. That's FOR, Rogers for DC.com.
Mm-hmm.
My media handles are Rogers for DC 51.
Mm-hmm.
Want to send me an email, Eric, ERIC, at rogersfordc.com. It's a simple campaign. I'm really about the people and communicating and working for the people. As you've heard through this conversation, I have a ton of experience in city government, and I want to take all of this knowledge up here and work it for the citizens and not for the special interests or the advocates on any particular side, but for the folks that live and work here and pay their taxes and want a well-functioning government. And they can find out all that wonderful stuff on my website. I look forward to them voting. You have two votes on November 3rd. Voting starts on my birthday, October 27th. So it'll be a wonderful birthday present if everyone that's listening comes out and votes for me on my birthday once early starts. So that would be good.
There we go. That's a catchy one. Well, thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you
Eric.
so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.